And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Kent Holste podcast right here on KentHolstePodcast.com and as well as the YouTube channel. I'm so glad you decided to click that link and join in this conversation, as today our topic is about storms. Okay, not the one that you're probably thinking about that's happening throughout the southern part of our country where tornadoes were happening just a day or two ago. I'm talking about the storms within our life, the metaphor. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about this, and I can't wait to see what conversation pops up within this topic. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Have you seen the Kent Holste podcast website yet? If you haven't, now's a good time. It's all at www.KentHolstePodcast.com. It's more than just podcasts. There's interviews, blogs, sports talk, the corner ropes, circle of friends, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Check it out today. It's at www.KentHolstePodcast.com. Join the community. So for those of you that are new to the community of the Kent Holste podcast, I want to welcome you guys. Basically, this podcast is a time for people to come together and just talk about a topic. And I'm a firm believer that we all go through tough times within our life. We deal with situations that we look back on and we're not happy about because of maybe of our own doing, our own actions that led to the consequences of what happened. Or perhaps it's because of others' actions that deep down inside has affected your life in a negative way. And we've all had to figure out ways to change and move forward from those. And it's the people that work hard and do surpass those hurdles, those very, very steep and very tall mountaintops. But there's people out there that work hard. They try to do their best, and they feel like there's no point in continuing the fight, that battle to succeed, to prove that their life has meaning and has a purpose. And so that's what this podcast is all about, is to build people up. So when I say put your thoughts and comments in the comment spot below, that doesn't mean that you be negative and criticize me or somebody else's feelings or thoughts. It's a time to be positive. So if you choose to unfortunately do those things that are rude or uncalled for this podcast, unfortunately, it could be deleted, but also it could lead to your account being blocked from this YouTube channel. And that's the last thing I want to do. I would rather see people be caring and be thoughtful towards others' feelings and emotions. So let's do that today. And I'm just glad that you're here and you're able to talk with us about your experiences with the storms that you've battled through. And so when I was thinking about this topic, I'm looking outside the window right now, and I'm seeing this downpour of water, which now in this area where I'm at in Texas, they're now having severe flood alerts and watches, and people are even being asked to evacuate in some places because of the water levels. Those are storms that are unfortunate, and the last couple days here in Texas and other places within the South, we've seen just incredible storms. We saw tornadoes that have done some horrible things to people. And, I guess it's more than just a metaphor about the storms that we deal with in our lives. Because sometimes there's legit storms that cause havoc, that cause depression. There's people that may be out of a job because of a business being destroyed. There could be people that are looking for places to live because of water damage, hail damage. There's tons of people that were posting online images of their vehicles being completely demolished by, a baseball or tennis ball size hail. I can't imagine what those people feel. Waking up or going out or looking out their windows and seeing something that they've worked so hard to have be destroyed so fast. But let's get more into the metaphor of the storms that we battle. A lot of the storms that we struggle with have to do with addiction. And I encourage you to go to the interviews portion of the Kent Holste podcast website and listen to an interview that I did with Tyler Hensley. He is a friend of mine that I went to junior high with and graduated high school with. And, he struggled with addiction to alcohol. And it wasn't until he hit, the bottom of the bottom, he realized that he needed to change his life. And so he did some amazing things to bring awareness to the things that he's dealt with. He rode his bike across the country, which to me is phenomenal, because I'm definitely afraid of lightning. And if I was riding in the middle of nowhere and there was nowhere to take shelter, I would be freaking out. And so for those people that have dealt with addiction, whether it be to alcohol or to drugs or other things that are addictive, I can't imagine what it's like to just have the mind being manipulated by these chemicals. The reasons as to why they let these addictions take control over their life. These battles that we have within these very strong storms in our life that tear through like tornadoes or even hurricanes. And there's these people that just don't know how to cope with the pain of a loss of a family member, or seeing other family members with addiction and how they watch their world crumble around them every single day, living in fear of whether, are they going to be there to put food on the table? Are they going to be there, period, to continue living their life? There's so many people that deal with the pain of because of these addictions, these broken families. It can't be easy. Thinking about you feel like you deserve to have. But you think to yourself, well, maybe I don't deserve it because I've never had it. Don't let the storms in your life bring you down to the point where you start falling into that depression, falling into that fear, and believing what your darkest and deepest fears are trying to put into your mind, trying to get you to live that way. You know, or maybe it's people like me that had to deal with the storms of being bullied and manipulated and being controlled and being treated like the only thing they were good for was certain things of maybe just bringing in a paycheck. Maybe it's just being that person they can use as a punching bag because that other person's life is so miserable. Or maybe that's just how they were raised to just treat people poorly, to just not have that heart to care for people. You know, I talked about it in a prior podcast about, you know, how I was raised in such an amazing family, and looking from the outside in on other people's lives and hearing their stories about how it was so different for them, not having parents around, not being able to have a normal life because they had to step up and be the parent themselves when they were such a young child or a young adult. You know, there's so many examples of storms that we could throw into the mix here. But the only thing I can really think of to kind of throw what some people's lives are feeling like sometimes, have you ever seen the movie The Perfect Storm? Pay attention to that movie of what it was like for these people being on that boat, being in such a incredible, wild situation. Think about the fear of what they might have been going through about the people back home on shore, on land. You know, sometimes we know that within the storm, we're in big, big trouble. And it might be the end. But that end that is final is just a metaphor in itself. Because it's never truly the end. It might be the end of that chapter. It might be the end of that unfortunate situation. But the problem that we live with today is there's not enough people that are willing to continue moving forward. Because of the storms that they go through, they feel like the rebuilding process may be too much to handle. That it's going to be hard to look at all the remains of what's been knocked down and destroyed. How can it be possible to put this back together? How is it possible for me to rebuild my life with so much that has been taken away from me? We say that all the time. I've had plenty of storms in my life, and that's just an understatement. Everything that could go wrong in my life, it has gone wrong. And yes, granted, a lot of those situations were because of my choice. And that's the thing we forget, is the storms that we deal with are caused by our own doing. But let me make it perfectly clear to you that just because you make mistakes, just because there's been a serious amount of damage caused and done, doesn't mean that you should bring yourself down and judge your self-worth. You need to believe in yourself. You need to know deep down inside that no matter what has gone on in your life, you can rebuild. You can make what looks like right now not very supportive ground, but you can make it stronger. You have to rebuild that base so it is compact and firm. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes years to see progress. But isn't that better than not seeing any progress at all? Think about that. Are you looking to join a good community with people that truly care about your feelings and emotions? Well, I encourage you to check out Kent Holste Podcast website, where you can find Circle of Friends. Circle of Friends is a place to be a community, but more importantly, a family. This is a page to be supportive by sharing special events that are positive or even letting others pray for you. A place that people can come together without fear of being judged, no matter of race or disabilities. A time to be that person that takes the time to care for others when it's needed most. We are all not just friends, we are family. It's the Kent Holste Podcast website at kentholstepodcast.com with Circle of Friends. That's one thing to think about too. In the midst of our storms that we deal with, sometimes the best part of rebuilding and restructuring is just having that support base. Those people that are willing to stand by you and to help you. When we look at buildings being built from the ground up, it's impossible for that to be done just by one single person. It's impossible. It takes a group of people. It takes a community to make something special grow and look amazing. I think back to the old TV show on ABC, the Home Makeover Home Edition. And we saw every weekend on Sunday the amazing things that were happening to people who have had plenty of storms in their life. And the biggest thing that we usually saw from that TV series was people who had storms that were rough, that were heavy, that were devastating because of health issues. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I was healthy. I had the perfect life when it came to my health. But it just seems like after my car accident that I was involved in, after, working too much and overdoing things because I never wanted to ask for help with heavy lifting. Now I have a health issue with that I've been struggling with for probably over 5 years. just didn't know about it until 3 years later. And then there's other things that happen health-wise that are far worse than my little pity of a little problem. There's people who actually have bigger storms that they face, dealing with cancer, dealing with family issues of Alzheimer's, and the people that have to unfortunately see the struggles of watching the people that they love slowly fade away. It can't be easy. It's hard. And those are the type of storms where you would think more people would come together and be that firm foundation that people can rely on, that they know that despite these tough and difficult storms that are going on, these walls are not going to fall. They're not going to crumble. Because there's people that are there that are holding you strong, holding your hand, guiding you, and reassuring you that everything is going to be okay. And sometimes that's just the peace that someone needs within their storm, is to have someone there that is able to listen, to see what's truly going on without making assumptions or placing judgment. And that just takes that time to be that person that says, I'm here for you. There's other storms within our life that we see with people who have so much pain because of maybe sickness, maybe too much pain because of the unfortunate times that they decided to take their addiction to the extreme and overdo it, to the point where they now have to be more cautious, where they have to be more concerned about their own personal well-being and safety. We create our own storms because we start to realize that we dug ourselves into this hole that is so deep, so wide, and so tall that we don't know how to get out of it. And for so long, we've pushed people away and made people feel like they weren't welcome, that when we do need someone, there's no one there because of the things that you did to push them away. All because you didn't want them to know about what you were dealing with, or what you were struggling with, or what you feared. Within my struggles of being bullied, I was sometimes afraid to talk about what was going on. I didn't want to talk to my parents. I didn't want to let them know what I was personally going through, not just physically, but emotionally. Because of the fact that I didn't think that they would care. I didn't think that they would take it seriously. I thought that they would turn it around and twist it and make it seem like it was all my fault, where 9 times out of 10 it wasn't. It was just people that didn't have anything better to do than to make somebody's life miserable because they're miserable within their life. It happens. And it's unfortunate. You have to be open about the storms that are going on in your life, because sometimes those storms are going to cause so much rain where that flood level of stress begins to increase and get higher and higher. And you start to wonder, when are these floodgates going to open and relieve some of this? And the answer is not until you decide to take those steps to be open about what's going on. Talk about what you're feeling. Talk about the pain, the fear, the addiction, what's causing it, what's making you feel so low and down that you feel like you have to do these things to yourself. And you start to realize that it wasn't anybody else's fault but yours, because you didn't know that it was possible. That talking about things was actually easy. That it isn't as bad as what you thought. And that there isn't people out there that are going to judge you and criticize you and bring you down. There's people that really do care. They've devoted their life to try to help. And that's pretty cool. I just want to take a moment to see if you could help me out for a second. You know, coming up with different topics and ideas for interviews is kind of hard sometimes. But with your help, I could get some really great ideas flowing here. So all you got to do is just shoot me an email. But not only that, maybe you need someone to pray for you or someone that you know. Perhaps maybe you would like to give some positive feedback and give ideas to make the podcast, our interviews, and something on the website just a little bit better. All you got to do is just send me an email at kentholstepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's kentholstepodcast@gmail.com. And I would love to chat with you. Maybe together we can make this podcast just a little bit better with your help. So what are you waiting for? Send me your ideas, your prayer requests, or people that you know that would be a great interview, whether they're an artist or maybe they just have an inspiring story to share about their life. Do it today at kentholstepodcast@gmail.com. Hey everyone, I just want to take this time to thank you for tuning in to today's show. Without your support and watching these videos, this podcast wouldn't be where it's at today. And the same goes for the website as well, and the YouTube channel. So to help me out even more, if you haven't done so yet, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And don't forget to ring that bell so you can be notified when a new amazing content comes out. Also, don't forget to check out all the other social media sites as well and like, share, and comment and subscribe there too. It all is being a part of this community where we can come together and show that we care for one another so we can motivate and encourage others. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the show. So our storms in our life come from various different angles. They can come in different styles. Sometimes it's just a little breeze with some light rain. Or sometimes it's heavy winds with big size hail. And sometimes that hail causes a lot of damage and it causes to be holes that are in things that take away such importance in our life. And it takes time, and it takes energy, it takes money, and it takes things that sometimes we feel like we just don't have the means to supply to help fix these unfortunate situations. And you may think to yourself, man, your metaphors are way out of whack right now. But if you think about it, it makes sense. It's all how you think about life. You know, we could come up with a million different types of metaphors to come up with examples as to what we deal with and how it seems within our lives today. But the metaphor of this storm that happens can be so many different things, can cause pain and drama and just damage beyond what we think is able to be repaired. But as much as we want to think that, I truly believe that there's ways that things can be fixed. You know, I'm a firm believer in confidence. I'm a firm believer that without confidence in your life, you're not going to go far. If you don't think positive, then how is anything productive going to happen? How are you going to feel good about yourself and others around you if you don't think positive? If you don't think about the good things about your life? Because, yeah, there's been plenty of severe storms in my life where I did cause a lot of damage, where there was a lot of people that were impacted. But I've worked so hard to try to change that and fix things and mend things. I've worked hard, as you well know, if you've listened to the podcast before. I've tried very hard to get in contact with people that may have had hard feelings or didn't like me, or maybe it was because of things that I did and caused. And I've done everything that I can to try to mend those, to rebuild broken friendships. And trust me, there's been plenty of times where there's been very heavy storms within my friendships, my relationships. And there's nothing more important to me than making sure that the remnants of what was caused by that are fixed. That there's no more signs of what was once a very hard and difficult time. And sometimes it's a matter of putting your pride and putting it aside. Because sometimes our pride gets the best of us. Sometimes our pride interferes with what reality truly is. And I've seen many people within my life that have chosen to continue to live a path of destruction, letting the storms in their life continue to get bigger and bigger, where it starts to move from completely destroying their life, but the damage starts to affect other people. And you know that it affects people when you see that they care. And it's funny, 9 times out of 10, the people who say, oh, well, no one cares for me, are the people that are saying that because the people that do care are the ones that are feeling the aftershocks, the things that happen after all these things. And sometimes these people, they want to be supportive, they want to be there, but they just don't know how to help. They don't know where to go. They don't know what advice to give. They feel trapped. They feel like the storm that was caused by certain people has been so destructive that they're being pinned. And they're just waiting for somebody else that has been through this same storm to hopefully not be heavily impacted, but is still able to break free and to help those people, but also help that person that was causing these heavy storms. We need to come together and work together as a community. When we see people that are going through these storms, we put what we're doing down or put it aside and just briefly step away from it and do the right thing and see what we can do to help these people. Because there's so many people out there that are suffering, that are hurting, that are going through all these emotions of these storms. And it just takes control over them. They get so used to living a life that has been so long filled with all these things that it just seems like it's just normal. That's what reality is. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Sometimes we just need those people that can be that guiding hand, that roadmap, that flashlight that kind of guides you through those dark and very foggy and smoldery situations. Sometimes you just need that lifeline of those people that are just sitting there waiting to pick up a phone to help someone. So I encourage you, if you got these storms that are overpowering your life and you're trapped and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're just waiting and hope and just wishing that something would see you and reach out to you and save you and bring you back home to where you belong, where you are safe, where you're able to feel like the storm is finally over. That's what this is all about. It's powerful. Thinking of it like that, it's insane. But how refreshing would it be if that was how it could be? That you could be that person that makes that difference. Being that person, being that good Samaritan, being that person that is going to do whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes, to help that person. I encourage you to start thinking about that. So here's the questions I got for you today. What storms have you been through in your life that have laid heavy on you? That you feel like have come at you so heavy and fast and strong that It has broken walls. It has made what seems like the roof of your life collapse on top of you. And you've just been waiting for someone to come and help you and search for you. What have you done to actually make that happen? What steps are you going to take to make sure that you're going in the right direction for help? Maybe there's been times where you've had some pretty heavy storms and you've had to figure out how to get through it. What steps did you take? What was it like in the midst of that storm for you? What did you do to stay positive? Where did you go to make sure that you were going to be okay? Was there a person, a friend that you talked to? Was there a specific spot where you just went to get away to kind of release that negative energy and just have that ability to restart fresh? Talk about the storms that you've had in your life. Talk about the positive things that came from it. Because you never know. There could be someone that's listening and looking at all the comments that are coming through, and maybe they just needed that feeling like, oh, someone has gone through that. I needed to see that. Look what good you just did. You were that life preserver that was thrown out, and now someone has that chance to be saved. Maybe you have some inspiring quotes. Maybe you have some, passages from the Bible that have to do with storms in your life. And you want to share that, and maybe that could be that motivation that someone needs to see and experience. But most of all, maybe you know someone that needs to hear this podcast today. And you say, hey, you know what? I know that you're going through a hard time, but I think there's something that you may like, and maybe that could help you. There's so many things that we could do to help people. And the biggest thing is are you going to be that person that's willing to take that first step to help that person, to make them feel like they're safe, that everything's going to be okay? And that long storm that felt like was never going to end finally is starting to see some daylight and sunshine and blue sky. Sounds great. Sounds wonderful. So make it happen. Because I believe in you. Don't you think you should too? And you need to think and be positive about the situations that come into your life, whether they're positive or negative, and make the most out of it. Because the only person that is in control of your life, the only person that you can make sure has the best life possible is you. You can't control other people's. You can be that person that helps guide someone, but it can't be forced. So think positive about your life and the storms that you go through. Because what seems like dark and scary and never ending is just brief. It doesn't last forever. It's temporary. Eventually, it's going to end. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful. So think about that. And the biggest thing is we need to think about kindness. And the best thing we can do is be that person and help people. And another way that you can show kindness and respect towards other people is if you see someone who served our country, whether it be military, police, fire, or even medical, take the 2 seconds that it takes to give them an elbow, give them a fist bump, tell them how much you appreciate them. You never know how much they might appreciate that. So do that today. And until the next time we talk, please be safe. Be kind to one another. And I'll see you guys real soon. God bless.